Warning: Geeking Poetic is a show aimed at the adult collector, and as such features adult language and humor that is not appropriate for younger audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Welcome, everybody, to the Geeking Poetic podcast channel. I'm your host, Larry Roberts, and this, at long last, is another installment of our toy collector-centric show known as Geeking Toyetic. I am a lifelong toy collector, and as you can see behind me, I collect all sorts of stuff, but one of the things that I was the most fond of as a child, and the thing that really actually got me into toy collecting as an adult, was my affinity for the toys of the 1970s, specifically the toys that were put out by a company named Mego.
Each sold separately.
Superman, Batman, Incredible Hulk, you can make them do their thing. Even make Spider-Man slide down a string. Lots of action for one and all. Action figures over 7 inches tall.
These superhero action figures each sold separately. Batman, Superman, Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man, each sold separately.
The Mego Corporation was founded many moons ago by Mr. David Abrams. He started out mainly making, dime store toys, and affordable toys that you could get at the Ben Franklin or the Five and Dime in your neighborhood. From there, they decided to start licensing known properties, especially once David's son Marty Abrams took over. They really got into licensing different properties from comic books, from movies, from TV shows. We saw Planet of the Apes and Star Trek, and I loved all of that, but the one that was the most near and dear to my heart were the world's greatest superheroes. Now, the world's greatest superhero line was comprised of figures from DC as well as Marvel, which is something that you just would not see nowadays. As such, these toys were extremely popular in the 1970s, and over the years, especially because of their fragility, I mean, these figures are very tough to come by in really good shape anymore. I mean, most of them are now 50 years old at least. These have become very in demand on the collector market for us adults that just can't seem to let this part of our childhood go. Thankfully, we've been getting some really incredible retro action figures that are bringing back a lot of nostalgia for our childhoods back in the 1970s and early 80s. And today, I am happy to say that I have another box in my hand that contains, yes, the third set of the Mego retro action figures from the Marvel line. The first one that came out was the Spider-Man 4-pack. That was very successful. Collectors went crazy for that thing. And then coming up next was the aforementioned Fantastic Four 4-pack that I reviewed some months back. And already we have the next set. And this set comprises 4 heroes from Marvel's Avengers. Now, these are going to be 4 figures that look almost exactly like they did back in 1974 through 1976. And many of us collectors have been wishing for years that they would eventually get around to making reproductions of these particular characters, because we've gotten almost all of the DC ones with a few exceptions made. And as I said, now they've done Spider-Man, they've done Fantastic Four, but for many of us, some of our favorite characters were those Avengers, namely Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and the Incredible Hulk. Speaking for myself personally, the Incredible Hulk as a character and the Mego action figure were very near and dear to my heart when I was a kid. It took me forever, for as common as that figure was in so many respects, for some reason when I was a kid, I could not find the 8-inch Hulk figure. So I'm happy to say that in this box here is the new versions, the retro release versions of the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America and the Mighty Thor, and I cannot wait to dig into this box. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk at this point. If you didn't already skip ahead, I don't blame you, but I just wanted to give you a little backstory about these so you know what you're getting into. Spoiler alert, don't expect these to be exact replicas of the originals. And I know there's some people that are upset about that because they wanted them to be exact. And there are other collectors that are like, no, good, I don't want them to be exact replicas. I already have those originals. I don't want them to affect, the nostalgia or the aftermarket value. Well, here's the thing. I think that this really does scratch both itches there. And I can't wait to see these in person. I've seen them online, but let's, without any further ado, let's just get into some unboxing. Okay, box was not too difficult to get open, which is good. And it has a flip open lid here, so easy to get to the figures. Now, I always talk about this when I do the unboxings, and I'm very curious to see. Some of these companies have a tendency to not pack their things very well, or in some cases, before they've even put the item into the shipping box, it's already damaged. I've already seen some of you out in the Mego collector groups that have complained about you've gotten some of yours in the mail and you've had some pretty significant damage to your packaging here. So I'm going to be really curious to see how this turns out. All right, and so opening up the box, as you can see, this is basically how they packed it. There's a little bit of paper up there. And it's pretty firmly packed in here. I don't really have a problem with this shipping. This is pretty good. It's not sliding around. There's really no way for this to slide around in the box. So that's always a good thing. All right, and taking a look at the package right now, first time in my hands. There's a little bit of wear here on the corners. I am not precious about those sorts of things. I am not looking to get this graded or anything like that. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to open it up in front of all of you. That's what I want to do here with this. And yeah, this looks good, man. I think I'm very happy with the way this turned out. Here is the full box set as it came out of the box. And then when you look on the back of the package, you see there's a little bit of a history here about the company and the figures. There's the picture of Marty Abrams down there. So that's pretty cool. Along the side of the boxes, if you are an old Mego collector, you are familiar with the way they would have these pictures go down the sides of the original boxes. And I'm sure they're like that on the boxes that are inside here. And if you can't already tell, there are 4 individual boxes here. This is kind of just like an outer shell. Plus, there is this awesome gold coin down here that features the 4 Avengers on it. I love it. It's just such a cool little extra feature they throw in here for us. So as I mentioned, I'm going to open this up. I want to look at these individually, and we'll take it from there. All right, so opening the sides of the box, these come out, I think, fairly easy. I know they come out pretty easy. I know that the Fantastic Four and the Spider-Man ones came out easy. And so here we have first the Hulk. Now, again, for anybody that's wondering and thinks that this is just an exact repro from the ones that came out back in 1974, they're not. For one thing, the color is a little different. This doesn't have as bold of a pink color as the original Hulk box. In fact, this almost looks like a faded one. I've seen plenty of faded ones over the years, and that's kind of what it reminds me of, is when the pink would fade. So that's actually kind of cool. It doesn't bother me. And again, I'm not really looking for this to be an exact reproduction. And like I mentioned, on the sides of the box, they do have the photos of the 4 characters. On the back, it has the awesome photo of the Hulk, just like it was on the original package from 50 years ago. But there are a bunch of defining traits on here that if you were to compare them side by side, and I can probably put photos up so you can see the comparison between the two, 50 years apart, essentially, to be able to tell. I mean, there's no way, if you know what you're looking for, there's no way somebody could pass this off as being an original. And so here is the figure taken out of the outer box. I've still got him attached to the backer card for now. You can immediately tell when you feel this figure that this is not a vintage Mego. For one thing, the body is the new style body. This is not like a Type 1 or a Type 2. There were two different kinds of Mego bodies that came out back in the 1970s. This is a modern one. He is jointed at the wrists, which the original Hulk was not. He is jointed at the ankles where they can turn. That is very different. The Hulk has a very hard head. He doesn't have the squishy head like the old Megos used to have. But at first glance, when you're just looking at this, especially from a distance, it looks like a retro Hulk, and it's retro enough. I mean, that's exactly what I would want out of this. I love the little updates on it without taking anything away from the nostalgia factor. I mean, because this does look so much in so many respects like my Hulk. He's like, 85, 90% there, but that other 10 to 15% is crucial. It's all, significant changes, and I think they're good changes. All right, and then coming up next, we have the Mighty Thor, or Thor the Mighty, as it used to say on the old cards. I never understood why they did that, but in any case, this is absolutely one of mine, and I know many collectors' favorite Megos that they ever made. This is one that many of us have been hoping someday that they would re-release, because even though he is significantly different enough from the original, I mean, this is a great replacement for that, especially for those of us that can't afford to get an original Thor, especially complete, because this is also one of the more expensive figures to get your hands on. If you find a Thor in really good condition, I'm talking about an original one from 75, 76. If you find one of those in really good condition with the wristbands and the boots and the hammer and the helmet and all that, you're going to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for that. The detail on this is so awesome. The boots are incredible. The hammer is nicely done. The costume is so well done. The cape is awesome. And then he has the helmet that goes on top of his head that actually kind of sticks into his head to keep it on over all that hair. I wouldn't know anything about that kind of problem, I would tell you right now. Like I said, this is just a sharp looking Mego figure. I love everything about this, and I'm so glad that they made this. All right, so moving on to figure number 3, we have the iconic, the amazing Captain America. Now, this was one that I definitely had as a kid. This was one of my favorites as well. I always loved the fact that he came with the shield. Now, this is the one that, perhaps out of the whole bunch, this is the one that doesn't really have the most accurate costume in so many respects. First of all, as you notice, he doesn't have the white on the sleeves. He doesn't have the red gloves or red, cufflinks or anything like that could make it look a little bit more accurate to the proper Captain America. That never bothered me as a kid. I mean, even as a kid, I knew he looked different, but I never felt like I was, being cheated by him looking like that. I thought this was a great looking figure, and taking Cap out of the box so you can see him there. Yeah, so he comes with the shield, and as you could see, I mean, they didn't really update the shield much. The original shield came with kind of a wonky sticker that they put on the shield that never lasted very long. I mean, right out of the box, it always looked kind of wrinkled and used, and this is no exception. I mean, this is pretty accurate to the original. Having one again like this that you can have that's minty, again, it's different enough that anybody that really knows is going to easily be able to tell that this is not an original from 1975, but it still scratches that itch. This should make anybody happy that wants to get their hands on these and not have to pay through the nose to get their hands on a faithful recreation. All right, and last but not least, we have the 4th and final figure of the set. And yes, it is Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man. Now, This is a very, very well-known Mego figure. This was a favorite of mine. I never had this figure when I was a kid, but I had a friend who did have this figure, so I was always excited to go over to his house and get to check out his Iron Man and have little pretend battles with it. That being said, we'll get to this in a second. Iron Man is not without his quirky flaws. So first things first, when they made this Iron Man back in the mid-70s, they were trying to very obviously upgrade these figures a little bit. When you compare the figures from 75 and 76 to the ones that had come out back around 73 or 74, these are just much more nicely designed. They had better accessories like we saw with the Thor figure. This one, he's got the really cool belt, and he's got these awesomely exclusive to him gloves and boots. I think this is a great figure. But first of all, addressing, the obvious there. Iron Man has a nose. So as we all know, Iron Man most of the time did not have a nose in his helmet there. There was a brief period of time where Marvel in the early 70s did start to draw on a nose on the helmets, and I guess that's basically where they got the idea from. And I've heard a lot of people debate about this over the last, I don't know how many, 30 years. I've listened to collectors and, fans debate about the nose and whether the nose is good or bad or how stupid it is or how it takes away from the figure. The nose, I don't know, man. I got to be honest with you. It never even occurred to me until I was an adult and I heard a lot of collectors arguing about it. I was like, oh yeah, he does have a nose. I never really cared about that because this was a kid's toy. These toys were not accurate. Anyway, that being said, it is very common to find the sticker here on his breastplate to have a little smear through thing happening on the sticker there. That usually came from glue that was put there to keep the sticker in place, and inevitably it would bleed through the paper sticker. And it's funny because this is a brand new figure, and already we have that. How much more accurate can you get? Because this is how it was with our originals. I'm pretty sure my original that I have packed away has that, and so does this one. So again, I can see some people maybe being bothered by that and being like, why can't we get away from that bleed through that happens there? We still got to have that. Maybe just because I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me at all. I think it's kind of great. But there's some definite differences, though, in the face. Again, plenty of differences on this figure that allow you to be able to differentiate between this and an original. But again, if you put this on your shelf, you're not going to be looking at it and feeling, let down, or at least I think most of us won't be feeling let down. This brings back a lot of great memories. I think this is a great figure. I'm really happy with all of them. All right, and there you have it. Those are the 4 new retro Marvel Avenger Megos that just came out this past week from Disney Store. I'd love to know what you all think about these at home. I'm sure some of you that are watching this have probably ordered this, or you're thinking about ordering it, or maybe you already got them. I would love to hear your feedback on what you think of these figures. Please leave a comment below. The main reason I do this is because I love talking and connecting with other like-minded collectors and geeks like myself that just love to dive into these silly toys and these things that just bring us a little bit of joy. In the meantime, I'm Larry. This is Geeking Toyetic, and this is the Geeking Poetic podcast channel. And hopefully I will see you all again soon with some more toy goodies and all the other stuff we love to talk about here on the channel. See you, everybody.